Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today we're embarking on, well, a really captivating journey. We're looking at how something seemingly impossible gets transformed into a functional, beautiful piece of living history. Our subject, it's a 1950s Soviet-era mechanical alarm clock, found in a warehouse, and I mean in truly dire condition.
Yeah, we're talking decades of neglect.
Yeah.
Rust, grime, just looked completely beyond repair, didn't it?
Totally. But the mission, the incredible endeavor we're about to witness, is bringing this relic back from the absolute brink.
And that's really the magic of restoration, isn't it? It's so much more than just fixing something. It's about, meticulously understanding an object's past, its original purpose, and then breathing new life into it. It's almost like an archaeological dig, but in reverse.
That's a great way to put it.
And the great master behind this particular transformation is PSV Resion from Ukraine. Their work is it really elevates restoration to an art form.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is, as we get into this clock's rebirth, the whole idea of a personal mechanical alarm clock actually has its own sort of quirky history.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll dig into some of those origins in just a moment. It's quite surprising. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Before we even dive deeper into the nuts and bolts of this Soviet clock, let's take a quick historical detour. When you think of a personal alarm clock, you might assume it's fairly modern, right?
Yeah, relatively.
But the idea, surprisingly, goes way back to 1787. That's when an American, Levi Hutchins, actually invented one.
1787, wow. And what's really remarkable about Hutchins' invention is how specific it was. His clock, it was designed to ring only at 4 a.m.
Only 4 a.m. No adjustment.
None at all. It wasn't adjustable, wasn't customizable. His whole philosophy was basically that waking up early was an iron rule of life. He thought the habit itself was way more valuable than any commercial game. He just wanted to make sure he woke up before dawn.
That's wild.
Right. And because it was just for him, this sort of pure, almost philosophical reason, he never even bothered to patent it.
So not about getting rich, just about getting up ridiculously early, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Exactly.
It wasn't really until 1847 that the true beginning of the modern adjustable alarm clock kicked off. That's when a Frenchman, Antoine Redier, invented a version where you could actually, set the alarm time.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense for, everyone else.
Right. And this evolution from Hutchins' fixed 4 a.m. ring to Redier's adjustable marvel, that leads us right to the sophisticated, albeit very damaged, 1950 Soviet clock we're about to see brought back to life.
So, armed with that history, the master restorer's first massive task was the full disassembly of our clock. When you're facing decades of rust and grime, what's the biggest challenge there? Getting it apart without wrecking it more.
That's a great question. You might think brute force, but no, it's the opposite. Every single piece, even the tiniest ones, had to be meticulously coaxed apart. Once it was fully disassembled, then it was time for the initial heavy-duty cleaning.
Right, and for the larger internal bits, the first big step was sandblasting. The abrasive used here was white corundum. Its job is pretty specific. Strip away all that deep corrosion effectively.
Why white corundum specifically? Does it matter?
It does, yeah. Unlike some other abrasives, its high purity means it won't contaminate the metal. That's crucial for historical items where you want to keep the original material as intact as possible. It's kind of a subtle detail, but it really shows the restorer's precision.
Okay, gotcha. So after that powerful initial clean, the real scale of the problem became obvious. A big chunk of the clock's base plate was just gone, eaten away by severe corrosion over the years.
Wow.
So this wasn't just cleaning anymore, it was serious reconstruction time. The method chosen was brazing, which is a type of welding.
Exactly. Brazing uses a brass welding rod, sometimes called a yellow solder strip. And the principle behind it is actually quite clever and really important for restoration work.
How so?
Well, the brass melts at a lower temperature than the clock's base metal. So it melts and flows into the gap, filling it securely, but without melting or warping the original part around it.
Ah, okay, so it bonds strongly but doesn't damage the original structure.
Precisely. It forms a really strong, stable bond while preserving the surrounding original material. Super important.
Right. So once that brazing was done, there were a couple more key steps. First, grinding off any excess solder to get a smooth surface. Then back to the sandblaster for another pass. This was to make sure the whole surface had a perfectly uniform texture, getting it totally ready for paint.
And the painting for that base plate, it was incredibly meticulous. Even though this part ends up hidden inside the clock, you could see the restorer's dedication to just a perfect finish.
Really? Even for an internal part?
Absolutely. It started with a grayish-white epoxy primer. Then, that primer was carefully ground down to create this absolutely flawless base. Yeah. Only then did they apply a high-gloss black top coat. It gave it this striking, almost jewel-like look, even on the bits you'll never see.
Wow, that's dedication. Okay, so moving on to some of the more delicate internal bits, we're talking pieces like the splint, that's geoban, right? The bell, and that critical alarm lever. For these, the master used a cold bluing or browning liquid. Now, I assumed that was just for protection, but maybe aesthetics too. What's cold bluing doing here exactly?
It's essentially chemical conversion coating.
Yeah.
So yes, protection is a big part. It guards against future rust, which is vital for these smaller, more exposed steel parts. But it also gives them this beautiful, deep, dark finish. It looks, well, historically accurate for vintage steel components.
Okay, so durability and looks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a classic method. And that alarm lever you mentioned, yeah, we'll definitely circle back to its crucial role in how the clock actually works later on.
Got it.
Yeah.
So after that treatment, the sandblasted splint was then polished up, getting it ready for reassembly into the clock's mechanical heart. Now, the internal wheel system itself, the actual mechanism, the damage there wasn't quite as bad as the outside stuff, thankfully.
Right. Often the casing takes the worst of it.
Yeah, exactly. The main exception, though, was the two mainsprings. They were apparently beyond saving.
Yeah, mainsprings often are. They take a lot of stress over the years. So given that the wheels were in better shape, a gentler cleaning method was needed. They went with citric acid.
Citric acid, like from lemons?
Kind of, yeah. It's very effective, and it's preferred for delicate mechanisms because it works by dissolving oxidized copper, you know, that green stuff, verdigris you see on old brass. It forms soluble copper citrate, which helps lift off rust too. It also dissolves carbonates and, crucially, can handle minor iron rust, maybe from contact with those old mainsprings.
So it cleans effectively but doesn't damage the delicate brass or steel?
Exactly. Powerful enough, but gentle enough.
Okay, so after the chemical bath, the master moved to mechanical cleaning.
Right. Using electric grinding tools, very carefully, to remove any really stubborn oxide layers or ingrained dirt and just fix any remaining tiny flaws. It's meticulous work.
Sounds like watchmaking almost.
Very similar precision, yeah. And finally, to make absolutely sure every last speck was gone, the parts went into an ultrasonic cleaner.
Ah, the vibrating bath.
Exactly. Those high-frequency sound waves get into every tiny crevice. Super important for intricate parts like these, making sure they're absolutely pristine before putting it all back together. And as you said, those two mainsprings, yeah, totally irreparable, had to be replaced. That's pretty common for old clocks.
So all the internal parts now meticulously cleaned, treated, ready to go. It was time for the really intricate part, putting the mechanical heart of the clock back together.
And this specific clock runs on a dual mainspring system. Understanding that is kind of key to knowing how it works.
Dual mainspring, so two power sources.
Essentially, yes. You've got the larger mainspring, and its job is to drive the actual clock movement, you know, making the hands go around, keeping time. It's constantly working. Then there's a smaller mainspring, often called the alarm mainspring. That one is dedicated only to powering the alarm bell.
Ah, okay. So they're independent power sources for the two main functions, time and alarm.
Exactly. Different tasks, different springs.
So how does the alarm sequence actually happen? It sounds quite clever.
It is. First, the user winds up that alarm mainspring and sets the desired alarm time using the pointer.
Right.
Then, as the clock runs, when the hour hand eventually moves and lines up perfectly with that alarm pointer, it engages a specific part called the alarm time wheel. This wheel's movement then triggers a lever.
Okay.
And that lever releases the tension stored in the bell mainspring. And that sudden release of energy is what makes the alarm hammer strike the bell and ring.
Wow, like a little Rube Goldberg machine in there. Chain reaction.
Pretty much. A very precise chain reaction. And to stop it, you either just let the alarm spring run out of energy, or usually there's a manual button you push to disengage the lever.
Okay, that makes sense.
So to put it maybe more simply, you can think of the bell system and the time-telling system as almost like two separate machines inside the clock, but they communicate, they interact right at that crucial point, the alarm time wheel. That's the piece that connects them, telling the alarm when to go off based on the time.
Gotcha. It's the messenger between the two systems.
Exactly, the linchpin.
So after all that painstaking reassembly comes the moment of truth. Listening for that first tick from the mechanical heart.
Oh yeah.
I can only imagine the satisfaction after all of that work, hearing it finally tick again.
Definitely a rewarding moment in any restoration.
Right. So with the internals ticking away nicely, the focus shifted back to what was arguably the most damaged part of the whole clock.
Right.
The outer casing.
Yeah, that looked rough in the beginning.
This was where the master really had to show their metalworking skills, using welding patches to fix that extensive, almost grotesque damage.
And the first step for the casing, just like some of the internal parts, was sandblasting again to get rid of all that rust. But then what followed was this really meticulous process of trimming away the severely damaged edges.
Trimming them? Why?
Well, it's not just about removing the bad metal. It's about creating a clean, precise edge for the new patches to be welded onto. It ensures a much stronger, cleaner, more seamless repair in the end. Think of it like preparing edges for a perfect joint in woodworking, but for metal. Precision matters.
Okay. And because the casing had that sort of unique curved shape, 2 separate patches were needed.
Right.
And again, brazing was the method used for the welding. Now, at this stage, after the patches are on, but before finishing, the casing probably looked a bit rough, right? Almost like patchwork.
Oh, yeah. Definitely looks functional rather than pretty at that point.
But trust us, the transformation that comes next is absolutely dramatic. It's hard to even picture going from that to a mirror finish.
And that dramatic transformation comes from using a multi-layer coating system. It's actually very similar to what's used for high-end car paint jobs.
Really? For a clock?
Absolutely. It guarantees maximum protection against future damage and gives that superior, long-lasting finish. After the initial grinding of the brazed areas, a special filler called atomic ash is applied.
Atomic ash? Sounds serious.
It is. It's a type of body filler, but it's prized in high-end restoration because it has incredibly fine particles and adheres exceptionally well. This lets it fill even the tiniest imperfections left over from the welding or the primer, creating a truly smooth, monolithic surface to paint on.
Okay, so it creates that perfect canvas.
Exactly. And then comes the grand finale for the exterior. After grinding and leveling that atomic ash until it's perfectly smooth, it's a full top coat sequence.
Yeah.
Another layer of primer, meticulous sanding, and then finally the high gloss color top coat.
And the result is that stunning, almost mirror-like finish. It truly makes you forget how rough it looked before.
Absolutely. And even the bottom cover of the clock got the exact same meticulous multi-layer treatment. No corners cut.
Amazing. What about the smaller bits, like the knobs?
Good question. Those smaller remaining parts, like the winding knobs and the little adjustment pieces, they also got sandblasted first. Then they were treated with electrostatic powder coating.
Powder coating? Why that?
It provides exceptional durability. It creates this really hard, even finish that's much tougher than regular paint. Perfect for parts that get handled frequently, like winding knobs. Plus, it gives a flawless, uniform look that matches the high gloss of the casing.
Makes sense. Okay, so finally, after all those separate, detailed processes, the joyous moment of bringing all these perfectly restored components back together, the beautifully painted outer casing reunited with that intricate, ticking internal movement, a real reunion of form and function.
Yeah, that's always the best part. The final assembly involved carefully installing those small powder-coated parts, putting the rear cover back on, and of course fitting the 2 winding knobs that power those mainsprings.
And with that final turn of the knob, the 1950 Soviet mechanical alarm clock, once this forgotten, corroded relic, was officially restored and ticking again.
A complete transformation.
It really is incredible when you see the before and after comparison, isn't it? From just a lump of corroded metal to this ticking, ringing marvel.
It really is.
I'm honestly surprised by the sheer level of detail that went into even the hidden parts, like that black base plate. It really makes you appreciate the dedication involved.
And what this whole restoration really highlights, I think, is that intricate dance between chemistry, mechanics, and just pure artistry. Every single step we talked about, from the abrasive precision of sandblasting, the gentle chemical cleaning with citric acid, the careful low-temperature brazing for repairs, that complex multi-layer painting, the durable powder coating. Each one played such a crucial role in bringing this piece of history back to vibrant life.
Yeah.
It's really a testament to the idea that true mastery is found in those details, both the ones you see and the ones you don't.
It really brings us back to why we love doing these deep dives, doesn't it?
It does.
Understanding the detailed process, seeing every step, makes the final result, whether it's a clock or anything else, just so much more impactful.
Absolutely.
It really makes you stop and think about what it means to preserve history piece by meticulous piece, and just how much human ingenuity goes into even everyday objects.
And maybe if we think back to Levi Hutchins for a second, the guy who valued his 4 a.m. wake-up habit more than getting a patent, who saw the value in the tool itself over commercial gain. And then you witness this incredible, painstaking restoration of a later clock. What does that tell us about the true value of these objects?
Yeah.
Is it just about their function or their market price? Or does it maybe suggest that the real treasure isn't just in the artifact itself, but in the story of its creation, its journey through time, and its meticulous resurrection?
That's a fantastic thought to leave everyone with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today.
My pleasure.
We really hope it encourages you to look a little closer at the everyday objects around you and consider the hidden stories and the incredible craftsmanship they might hold.